Some areas we can really start to explore around, for example, while we move and perform and behave the way we do, just initially, is it our feelings that drive the way we move, or vice versa? Do our movements then determine and then drive and control the feelings we then get exposed to? So, for example, has been if we're very distracted, very tired, fatigued, dehydrated, we have an emotional response often called a mood. Is it those feelings that very much drive the way we move? So it's being very mindful when we start moving certain ways. Is it the actual feelings we're having which is very much controlling in driving those movements? Equally so, when we move certain ways, is then being very aware that how our feelings start to become shifted and our feelings start to kind of adapt based on how we perceive how we move. So always have that lovely interaction, being aware of how our feelings influence our movements and vice versa, how our movements then can very much connect back to then and influence our feelings. And that also then threads in very much then to the idea that can we create feelings from our thoughts and then thoughts from our feelings. So examples being when we start to get certain movement feels, for example, what thoughts can we attach, what thoughts can we extract in some ways and actually attach to those feelings we then have been exposed to and been subjected to as far as how we move, and vice versa. When we start to get certain thoughts around how we move and certain bits of feedback around how it influences that kind of thinking, that thought process we have, what feelings then do we then start to attach to those thoughts? So it's been, again, is it our feels that control our movements, and how do our movements can influence on our feels, and vice versa, how our feelings influence our thoughts and how our thoughts then connect back to where we feel, which in many ways then connects back to the very advanced coaches and the very best coaches around Explore Movement aren't so much problem solvers or even problem finders. They're much more problem creators. The very good coaches will create an issue, which then allows that student to then learn and explore, to then very much find their answer rather than someone else's. So feelings influence the way we move, movements influence how we feel, thoughts influence our feelings, feelings influence our thoughts, and the good coaches don't solve problems or find problems, they actually create the issue for the player to then go and resolve.